all of the major labels came, like the top people came down to our rehearsal hall in downtown LA various nights and watched us play through songs, taking us out to posh dinners in Los Angeles. We were living in squalor otherwise. I mean, this is a big
It was the
con.
dream.
And yeah, and this is how far out the dream played. We basically are aligned in a way that we haven't been since, I would say, probably 2008.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm nervous.
You're asking an old person to plug up the VCR.
I'm what? No, I'm not. You did it. It was
Yeah.
it was like a click of a button.
Okay. Well, I'm here. How are you? Everything good? Where are you? Where are you, by the way?
I'm in Ottawa, Canada.
Oh. Well, we spared you from the tariffs, I hear today.
Yeah, I just found out. I never know if it's going to be off or on or whatever. It's all so crazy though.
There's no special fee for this.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you. So I did write out a bunch of questions because I was scared I was going to be too nervous and my mind was just going to go blank. But I'd like to start at the beginning. Why don't you talk to me about the first time you picked up a guitar?
There was a guitar that my father's, he was a lawyer, and his law partner passed along to my brother and I, and he still has this guitar, but we kind of just, I was probably maybe 11, 12 years old, and when we got that, and I didn't really, touch it, mess around with it very much. I didn't really start getting into it until I was around 14, I think. I saw Van Halen play, and that was it. I went and I remember I tried to get one for a while, and I mowed yards and did lawn work for people and made money and tried to make enough to buy one. I did not, I didn't get there, but my dad ended up buying one for me in the Lee Mall in Columbus, Mississippi, and it was a maroon Gibson Victory, which was a model that has, not been, I think, very successful. And I hacked that guitar up and tried to modify it and absolutely ruined it. Not really, but what I was trying to do. But that guitar is still. I just found out who has it in my hometown. But when I picked it up and started to like really try to do it seriously, there's a lot of stuff going on in my life. So I was cutting school and all that.
Yeah.
And so I had hours, and I really did. I sat down for hours a day for, I don't know, a year ish, sort of regularly.
Yeah.
And kind of got it going. I was still learning really to play when we made our first record.
Wow.
I mean, really, like, at this probably 19, 20 years old at the time, and still kind of, not really very good.
I'd say you're up there with, one of the top guitarists in the world. Like, you're incredible.
Well, I don't know about, of course. I mean, I don't know about that. But keep going. I want to hear more about this. I mean, I definitely got better as I got older. But that's just, I think anybody who sticks with it will.
What was like?
I just got the best guitar in my life, though, and it's really like kind of revitalized me in a way.
What did you get?
I got this Les Paul. Look at the flame on that one.
Wow.
And I don't know, I just connected with it, and it's kind of like got me going again in a way, which is good because we're going out and doing shows coming up.
Yeah, seriously, you guys have a bunch. Well, I mean, Blind Melon has a bunch. I just saw you guys posted a whole bunch of dates for the summer. I really want to talk about your new album. When did you and Nathan sit down and say, it's time, we're going to do this?
Well, this all happened during the pandemic, really, like because, there was not really much going on. I started singing and sort of singing the
Yeah.
songs that I was writing. And we had been working together, because we were trying to jointly write some things for Blind Melon. And I had gone to his place in Sheboygan, Michigan, and that's how we kind of started writing songs for the first one that we did. And we kind of came up with a formula that works, and we just kind of work it all out on the piano with a vocal and a piano, record that, and then just build the track around it. So that's what we did. And so we did the first one, and then I went back to Sheboygan and just kind of hung out with Nate for 3 days, and we arranged the songs. And I went to 5 states to make that record. We started there. We recorded everything on a grand piano in the Sheboygan Opera House. They graciously allowed us to use the space. And then I came home, worked on it a bit, and then we went up to New York and recorded the band live against that. I kind of had the song worked out at that point, writing the vocals and that sort of thing. And so that took just a few days. And then I came back here and I just started working on it. I sang everything,
Yeah.
played guitars. Nate did stuff in Michigan. I went to Connecticut and I recorded Jenna Krause,
Yeah.
who sang on 3 or 4 songs on the record. And I love her
Yeah.
voice, and I love the vibe that she brings. And I asked her to do it, and she agreed to agreed to do it. And so I went up there and stayed with her for a few days and recorded her singing on things. And then I went down to New Orleans
Wow.
and recorded horns,
Mm.
the horn section, and also just hung out with Rennie, who played drums, and Mike Napolitano, who's the producer. And that's where we cut the cover song for the Tommy James, or the Tommy James song, Dragging the Line.
Yeah.
We did that in his place there. I had to go to a lot of places to do it. It took me a year, but it
Yeah.
works.
That the album is beautiful. I felt really, special or lucky or whatever the words are that, you've kind of sent me little clips over the past year. And so I feel like I've sort of seen everything come together, and it's beautiful. Your voice is beautiful.
Well, thank you. I mean, I don't really even think of myself as a singer, but thank you.
You don't think,
Um,
but I mean, you are. You're doing it. So doesn't
right,
that mean you
right.
are?
I mean, by definition, I am doing it. So I am, but I mean, there are people who they open their mouth and they have a natural tone, right?
Mm.
Right, like they like Shannon Hoon,
Yeah.
right? I mean, when he opened his mouth in the room and sang a song, everybody stopped dead in their tracks.
Yeah.
So I can sing, but I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, your
I can
songs.
play guitar.
Yeah, you can do both, which is
I can
really.
dance too, but not,
No, I can't dance
yeah,
too. I mean,
it's not my thing
yeah,
necessarily.
but I
But
mean,
I will dance. Put it
yeah,
that way.
musicians don't have to dance really when they can kind of hide behind
I've always
their
said
gear.
that. I've
Yeah,
always said that if I'm
yeah,
ever in a place and there's dancing happening, it's not. I'm not obliged.
yeah. How does it differ from, like when you're writing from Blind Melon? Do you feel like is there a
Well,
difference?
yeah. I mean, it is different because I'm not. Blind Melon. I'm thinking more about setting up Travis,
Mhm.
or Shannon. It's like that's a different voice. I'm not even thinking about the guitar when I'm working on songs for the songs that I'm
Yeah.
singing. Like I don't even really think about it until the end.
Wow.
To me, is because the truth is that 80% of what matters in any song is the vocal. The band can be great, and there can be all kinds of cool things that happen, but if the listener doesn't believe the singer of the song, then it doesn't work.
Yeah. Did you have a moment writing this album where you kind of looked at each other and went like, we've got something here? Like this is going to
I don't
be.
know. Nate doesn't say a whole lot, but
No?
but no, I mean, this is doing it this way is kind of an isolating process in a lot of ways. I think that we both know the song is
Yeah.
good, and really, if you can sit with a piano and sing the song and that works, then the rest of it is just execution. You may or may not get that right, but that's not uh, germane to whether or not the song is good. The I think we have something part for me really didn't come all the way until the end. Like it's finally it sounds like cohesive. It's not easy. It feels like a struggle in a way to overcome the deficits in what you're hearing.
Mm.
Being that I've never before I made these two records, engineered a recording on my own.
Yeah, I know.
And that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
So, and kudos to people who practice this craft well, because I don't think I do. I got good gear and I learned how to use it well enough to get the point across. But I mean, if I really knew what I was doing, it could sound a lot better. It's just that I'm learning it on the fly.
You're definitely, I mean, I haven't known you that long, but I would say you're kind of a perfectionist because you've spoken like this over the
Well,
past.
imagine this. Imagine this. You're gonna make something that's like personal to you, and then you're gonna
Yeah.
put it out there. Now, would you do that if it weren't like up to snuff, or if you knew that it could be better, or if you knew that it was substandard? No,
I don't
because
know.
you're exposed, and that's embarrassing.
Mm.
You know, so that doesn't mean that you don't make bad records. And I look at the ones that I've made, I think, I don't even know if it's good. Like a lot of the times I hear something and it hits me wrong. I'm like, God damn, that sucked. you know, but then other times you hear it and you see the virtue in it. It's hard to get yourself settled in this line of work,
Yeah.
because the unsettled part is what makes it happen.
Yeah. What is your hope for the album? What do you want people to take away from it? Well,
I really don't, it's not why it exists really, and I'm not, for me, I already got everything I needed to out of it. I just needed to make it. And then whatever happens beyond that, that's positive is cake, right? I mean, but I don't really care too much to spend a lot of time. I mean, I will talk to you as a
yeah.
friend, but I'm not a big marketer of my
Yeah, I
work.
know.
I don't. I just don't give it. I don't know
I
how to
know.
do it, and I mean, I would like to be successful, but I just don't. I certainly don't. Wouldn't like. I don't want it bad enough to try to figure out that part, because I'm still trying to figure out how to make records.
Yeah.
And so that's where I put my time. I know how things work, and I know that success in this line of work is an
Mm.
absolute pipe dream and a long shot at best. And you have to be nuts to try to go into it thinking this is a sound investment. I'm going to be successful. No, you just do it because you do it. You can't not do it. And I've experienced it on all levels. And I know when things are successful, when they're really successful, it's usually just because of the thing itself. And it's not because of a marketing strategy, And
Yeah.
so I kind of just rely on that. And maybe I got, lucky to have success with, music before. The only thing I can do to set the preconditions for that to happen again is to just try to do what I'm doing, make, good recordings and play good shows and be a good citizen, whatnot.
Yeah.
That's the best I can do. I'm not the person to try to market it to
Yeah.
anyone. I
Um,
welcome input though.
yeah. Well, I'm not going to try to woo you right now on live on your very first Instagram live. I'm not going to try to do that, but I
Do
definitely
what?
try to. I want to.
I want the full Monty. I don't want you hold back.
I think that you have everything you need right now to see as much success as you want. Okay. Now, I guess like someone in the questions just said, yeah, but what is success? And
Okay.
you
Now,
you
now we're getting somewhere. We're going to the metaphysics of it here.
yeah
Right? Like we got first. You got to define the terms.
yeah. Let's take a step back because you're a lawyer,
Yeah.
right? that's your full-time gig.
Hmm.
Like that's
Well, yeah.
like what?
I mean, okay. Yeah, I
That's
mean, I work. I'm a full time. Yeah, I'm a
yeah.
lawyer.
Like that's a huge accomplishment, and you're doing that, and you're still playing in Blind Melon, and you've got this new album out. And what would your idea of success look like for Towne and Stevens? For like, what would you like to, like, if you could dream up?
If I could get halfway to Taylor Swift, I'd be good. I only need to sell out one night in a stadium, not two.
Mm,
No, I don't know. I guess didn't clearly or clarify is that success to me is I like the record. That's
yeah.
it. I mean, what else am I? I don't. I mean, and that's what I mean. It's like if I like the record, it's how I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I set out to do. That's success. Now, I wouldn't say that's winning the World Series or the Stanley Cup. That would be having a gold record or something like that, right?
I actually had this as like one of the later questions, but I think it fits this, what we're talking about right now. You essentially saw, or you've seen fame like in the 90s. Okay, so like the 90s were the most, in my humble opinion, epic time in music. And you saw a ton of fame then. And the world, but the music industry doesn't even look the same as it used to
No,
back
that
then.
was the end of the music industry is that applied to us. That really like sort of, by the late 90s, I mean, obviously there were events that changed it, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us saw it like that. I mean, we saw it, I mean, the things that we were looking at that we liked, probably happened in the 60s. I mean, it just didn't, it wasn't,
Was it easier
at some
then?
point, I mean, it became like it was clear that, because we knew a lot of these bands, and we knew like, you know, and people got really successful really quickly.
Yeah,
So, I guess at that point you kind of realize, oh wow, this is a thing. Like they're making, it's on the runways in Paris.
yeah,
The
yeah.
fashion or whatever. It's ridiculous, but
Well, there wasn't streaming. There was more label support with more upfront cash to help support touring
right.
and releasing music
That
and all
definitely
of.
happened for
Yeah,
us. They gave us funding to be on the road. Like that part of the business. I mean, and that's really what I think about when I think about that business model that went away, which was that you could go and play a show. You could be in some club in Los Angeles or where Nashville or whatever, and an A&R rep would come by and see like a representative
yeah.
artist relations from a record company
Hmm.
would come by and see you, and they would come backstage after the show and tell you, I'd like to, offer you a record deal or whatever. And that happened to us a lot. I mean, that happened, and we didn't even play live shows. We played in a rehearsal hall, and all of the major labels came, like the top people came down to our rehearsal hall in downtown LA various nights and watched us play through songs from a demo tape that they had heard. And
Wow.
and it was like they were scouts.
Yeah,
But you didn't have to do any of the stuff that you have to do now, right?
yeah,
Like there was no social media, and I didn't need to have 50,000 followers. I just needed to have a bunch of good songs
yeah,
and not be a complete jack.
yeah.
And so we did that, and we got offers from a bunch of these. This is back when there was Capitol Records, there was MCA, there was Columbia, there was Warner Brothers, there was Epic Records, there was Atlantic Records, all all of these companies. We knew that the people were coming to see us, taking us out to like posh dinners in Los Angeles, and I mean we were living in squalor otherwise, but it was, this was a big
It was the
con.
dream,
And
though.
yeah, and this is how far out the dream played. It was like we eventually decided, we had a couple of like real offers on the table, and Capital was not the highest offer that we had, but we took them because we connected with people there.
Yeah,
Hal Milgram was the president of the company, and that dude was a great record. person and a super cool guy, Simon Potts and Tim Devine and Dominique Lampora. We had connections there, you know, and they really did. They stuck with us when the record didn't sell right out of the gate. They stuck with it. So kudos to them. I mean, they did what they said they were going to
Yeah.
do. But I'll never forget. We got the record deal. We signed the record deal. Went right down to the Nadine's Music on Santa Monica Boulevard and got that yellow Strat that day. Christopher
Wow.
got 2 guitars. I got 2 guitars. Like, you know, they gave us money and because we didn't have gear, you know, so we went down to the music store. It's like you won a sweepstakes for a shopping spree.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. It lasted about 2 hours. We bought a bunch of stupid that nobody even has anymore. I don't know what happened to it. And then, you know, of course, what you don't understand at the time is that they're just running up a tab, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that happened, and we made a recording that we never released that cost a lot of money.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we spent, I don't know, a lot of money, and then eventually went up to Seattle, got in a room. We got good enough to do this, got in a room, and recorded the record live for the most part, and that's how the first record got made. So
Wow.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know what tangents you just went on, but
It was exactly what I wanted to hear. I mean, that was my era too. I grew up, you know, just obsessed with music in the 90s. And Blind Melon was my favorite band. Now I'm on the other side, right? Like I'm 45.
me
You
too.
know, I've got this. How old are you? I don't even know how old you are. I just assumed we were the same
I'm
age. You're
44.
44. Okay, you're me. Just kidding. Uh,
I'm forever 44, which is
yeah.
I stopped counting 11 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're so young. You have your whole life ahead of you and career, and that's why I'm so passionate about the album that you just put
I don't
out.
know about that. That is optimistic. Listen, nobody in my family lives very. Uh, we don't. I don't know. There's not a lot of super old people
You're,
in my
you're
genetic
still
line.
young. You are still young. But yeah, the 90s versus now. And you and I have kind of talked about this, about, how the industry is different now. And there's not really the same, it's not like this like game plan, like you just check the boxes and make your way there. It's different now. So what, do you have a plan? Like, what's the plan right now for the band? A few people had popped up saying, get them to Canada. Do you have any plans to play this album live?
Well, yeah, I think we do, but um, Nate, has a new family,
Mm.
so that we put the record out, and I think we have to get through that stage as it's part of life, and then yeah, we're going to do that. But right now, I'm playing. Blind Melon's doing a lot of shows this year, so I'm also getting ready to do that. Yeah,
Amazing.
and I've been making other records. I just went out to Joshua Tree, and I want to as part of our outreach to Canadians. I played on a record that Christopher is producing for a Canadian artist named Odd Marshall,
Mm-hmm.
a real songwriter,
Mm.
of the highest order. And it was the first time, and I was talking to Christopher about this. It was the first time that we've tracked live recordings, the two of us together playing live with a full band since we made the Soup record.
Wow.
And it's kind of a thing, like
Yeah.
I mean, people say that, and I'm aware that people say, oh, they kind of got a thing, these two, and doing it for the first time in a long time, it was like, oh, wow,
Mm.
because I think both of us, when we started playing together, we're still in our formative years of playing the guitar. I learned to play guitar against Glenn's drumming, like really, and against Christopher's guitar playing and Brad's bass and all that. That's kind of gets deep, the structural level of what you do. And
Mm-hmm.
so getting in a room with Christopher and tracking 8 Odd Marshall songs, it was awesome. I mean, I don't know, it just felt good. It's one of those situations. There's the you know, the sum is greater than the parts kind of thing.
Yeah. Purposeful.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like a half guitar player. He's three quarters, whatever. Put it together, it works.
Amazing.
You got a whole
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah. I just followed him. You had mentioned him, so I went and looked him up and I followed him and he reached out wanting to know how I heard about him. So
Hmm.
I connected it. But I can't wait to hear that stuff when it's released.
Yeah, it was a really cool session. Great musicians.
And in Joshua Tree, which is
Yeah.
such a energetically special place, really.
Yes. No, I go out and immediately center myself on an energy
Oh,
vortex. Okay.
oh
And I remain there and I let that energy, you know,
yeah.
you know that I'm kidding, right? I don't know. I mean,
I
I might step on a live wire, but
I'm not. I thought you were serious. I was like, I want to go. I'm such a hippie. I'm such a
right.
hippie. I have my Palo Santo going, and I would love to go sit on an energy vortex.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to think that I don't know if I know that. I do have a heated seat in my car, though.
Very funny.
Yeah.
I am curious if you have like one specific gig. What's like the wildest gig that you can remember playing? Like just one that you'll never forget that sticks out as just crazy, fun.
Well, no, there were a lot of crazy events that happened at our gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, and not all of them were good. When I think about my memory of that time, it's, you know, it's a film that's on, you know, speed, you know, it's like a time lapse and it's like scenes of chaos. The crowds back then were, there was a physicality that was happening that I don't know that this happens anymore really, but for a while there people were just jumping all over each
Yeah.
other, you
Yeah.
know.
Pre-COVID.
Well, no, I'm talking
I
about in the 90s,
know.
you
Yeah.
know, and like all that stuff. I mean, you just see people just getting crushed and kicked in the head, and so you know, people try to do stuff to, like, you know, mitigate the damage being done to human flesh. Every now and then you would have one that, you know, the sound was right, or you know, there was just a special moment or whatever. But I don't know that I pin them to any specific place. I think there are
Okay.
gigs that, you know, people have seen, like you can see us play at the Woodstock show,
Yeah.
but that wasn't our best gig, but it wasn't even close. I will say this is that we have recordings of we have hundreds of recordings of shows, and we're going to release them, and some of them are really good.
Wow.
You know, and it's the thing that people know about the band from the studio records, and if maybe they saw a show or they saw a video or whatever, it's really only half the story, because I've gone back and I've listened to these shows. Like, we started recording, taking out multi-track recorders in 1993, early on, early-ish, you know, and we multi-tracked everything, and nobody knew. Like, these tapes were, our sound man was sending them to our manager, you know, diligently, and forgotten, you know. And after what happened, they just, whatever, nobody even thought about it. And then sometime during the pandemic, our manager at the time, Chris Jones, who managed the
Yeah.
band during the entire time with Shannon, he found them in his garage,
Wow.
and he messaged me, and I'm so grateful for this, and he sent them to me, and we transferred all of them, you know, made a good clean digital transfer of all these tapes, and, you know, because they were ADATs, right? Which, if you know what that is, it's like, it's literally a VHS tape,
Okay.
VCR tape. That's an 8-track recording. We had two of those linked together, so we had 16 tracks. And but what happens is, when those are in storage for a long time, the magnetic part of the tape starts to break down,
Mm.
and if you try to play it, it will unspool and it will destroy it.
Mm.
So what you do, and this is crazy, and this, we also have done this with our 2-inch master recordings of our original records. You put them in the oven and bake them at a low temperature. Now, when they said they were going to do this, it was like, that's crazy, you know, but it actually works. It like reattaches the stuff to the tape, and
I'm
so.
Gullible. Is this real?
It's real. I'm telling you a real
Oh my.
story. We went through all of them. Our sound man, Jamie, went through and transferred everything digitally. And so I've been listening to them. And if you think you know Blind Melon, from the records or whatever you saw, I'm telling you, it's like Shannon was amazing.
Yeah.
It's different every night. He's funny. Like he's he's interesting. He does crazy shit. I mean, he gets in fights. He pees on people. He does stuff. By the way, that show that happened in Canada in Vancouver where he peed on the crowd, we have an absolutely perfect recording of it. It sounds like Frampton Comes Alive.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
I was like, whoa. We were, nobody was really, nobody was playing well that night.
Yeah.
It was my birthday. It was my
It was
birthday.
your birthday.
But there's a bunch of these shows that sound like incredible. I mean, and so, we're going to release them.
That's the best news I've ever heard. That's
Well, I've been
amazing.
saying this, but right now we don't have the rights to them.
Okay.
I mean, they're owned by Sony Universal, but we're working on that, and I think do something like with nugs.net or something, because
Wow.
there are shows that I think it's definitely worthy. I would say that of the 150, 200 recorded shows that we have, about some of them have things that are wrong with them, like technically, like, but then there's like entire songs that are really good. 30 or 40 of them sound really good all the way through with no problems.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, and there's stuff on there that I never remembered. We would do these like improvisational jams and play cover songs and stuff that I just no memory of, but it's a lot of things. There are songs that were like, bits of songs that ended up getting recorded later, and just, Shannon playing like a song they heard on the radio that day or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just cool stuff.
That's such a beautiful gift to be able to have, to capture such a special time in your life. Like, no wonder you don't have a ton of memories. It was a whirlwind.
Yeah. Well, you know, there are a lot of reasons why my memory is bad, but my mind is still good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, I have goosebumps. Someone else just actually wrote they have goosebumps too. I don't want to dig too deep into those days. Like I know that they were really special and everything, and I know that there's also, probably some hurt there. How have you changed since those days? Like I know you went on to become a lawyer. I don't know if I've ever asked you what kind of lawyer you are. Are you in entertainment?
No.
No?
No. No, I worked in sort of big law firms doing, employment litigation,
Oh,
mostly for 7 years, I think. And then I work in-house for a tech company now.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I have
So
one client.
you need this musical outlet then. Like you need to be doing this.
You know, I don't know. I just kind of, I just kind of flow in and out of these things. I apply myself as best I can. I don't know. I mean, I definitely, get in a different headspace to make records and make music, but I have some executive function still, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's it's been a lot. I will say that. I didn't go to college until I was 40 years old, and I went through college and law school like quickly, and started working immediately. Like, I you know, put sort of demands on myself. I want to have a big life.
Yeah.
So I push myself.
What does your big life look like? Like,
Disaster.
like
Yeah, you look at what's happened to me, right? I mean, stuff doesn't work out, a lot of times. It's like you either pick yourself and dust off or you don't. Now, a lot of that relates to energy, and how much energy you have and how much resilience
yeah.
you have and ability to persevere, and adapt. For me, I've, from a very early age, I've had to learn to adapt to different environments, and different situations, and kind of in certain ways take care of myself.
Yeah.
I'll just do that till you get tired,
Yeah.
right? It's like I don't really know what I don't have. I'm not a religious person. I'm not really even a spiritual person. We construct things to try to like make sense of it, but I don't think any of us can. And then it ends, and I don't
Mm.
know what it means, and I don't know that anybody else does. And if they tell you they do, then you're just gonna have to accept their opinion, right? If you
Yeah.
want to believe them, because it's just nobody
Yeah.
knows why
Yeah.
we're here,
I mean,
or anything.
you and I could, we could really dig into all of that. But I mean, when I think of you and your life so far, like you have a legacy. Like you have done and you are doing so much. So maybe the better question would be, what is the legacy you want to leave behind?
Honestly, I'll be dead, and I don't really care about a legacy. I really, it's nice to know that my children will collect,
Yeah.
my family will collect money, 70 years past my death, based on the songs I've written.
Yeah, of course.
But that's personal. I don't, that's really for other people to, if that's good for other people to think of me like that, then great. But I don't really think of me like that. I know that I've made good records.
Yeah.
The rest of it's for other people to figure out.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
I mean, that's a true answer.
Mm.
I mean, that's my unvarnished thoughts.
So, aside from music, like what brings you happiness and joy these days?
Um, that's a hard question.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean,
You can say
I,
talking to you.
I don't really like frame my existence
Mm.
in terms of happiness or joy, because I think those things are ephemeral.
Mm.
You know, I don't know. It feels like, scratch and claw and grip the rails, right? I mean, that's what it feels like to me.
Mm.
I think I'm a person that will probably go out kicking and screaming instead of content. Maybe that's not. I just think that's kind of in me in a way.
Yeah.
I I got hellhounds on my trail or something, but it's I'm not
You're not done yet.
I'm not well, I'm not done, and I don't think I'm the type of person that's ever going to get done. And so, yeah.
I interviewed a musician not long ago who I asked a similar question to, and he was like, without even skipping a beat, he said, if I'm lucky, I'm gonna just die on stage. Like I'm just gonna keel over
I think
and that's it.
I'll die licking, wounded, lying in the weeds. I don't know about that. I don't think there's any glory in it, or any. I'm not, chasing, that. So, life it's an effort to avoid discomfort and pain of being alive, in a sense.
That's really interesting. Life is avoiding pain.
I don't know. There's different phases of life. There's the phase where you're going to go and beat the world,
Mm.
you know, and then the world beats you, gather your forces and try to do it again. I don't know. It's like, how many times can you do that? I kind of look at it like that.
Yeah. Your words like strike a chord because yeah, I'm going through a difficult time right now in my life. I think I've shared a bit with you. I'm not really sure. The idea that I've been contemplating a lot lately is like pain and suffering and what to do with it. Do I, all the coaching books, like all the therapy, everybody says, you got to sit with it. You got to sit in your pain. You've got to feel it. And, your statements are right. Like, how many times can somebody do that? But I
I just
guess,
have a difficult time with acceptance. You told that you got to accept it. I don't know. Uh, that's why I think I'll probably go out kicking and screaming.
yeah,
because I do have fight in me. I mean, and
You have
I have a lot of
stories.
passion. I have a lot of passion,
Yeah.
you know, like for stuff, you know. If you're a musician, right? I mean, I've lived this. It's like nobody respects you unless you're successful, really. It's like, and it feels like you're kind of, you know, you got to prove yourself. And I remember this, you know, time like before, like, you know, having any success in it. And it's like, it's just, it is absolutely fucking thankless. There's a lot of people, a lot of musicians who have a lot of talent, and they can never get, but they don't get past this place. They don't get to a place where, you know, it gives them back what they give to it, right? You
It's
know.
hard to make money in the music industry right now.
Oh yeah, it will always be that there will be youth and ingenuity and those things that come into this and make, you know, a fortune and make fortunes for the facilitators of it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a youth driven enterprise. You know, pop music. It's interesting. You know, you see all the classic rock bands. You know, hope I die before I get old, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're still out there, and they should be, really, because, you know, some classical, you know, cellist or whatever, or classical guitar player or a jazz musician, you know, a great horn player, they don't quit when they're young. Or they don't lose relevance. No, they get deeper. It is possible to continue to be artistically relevant. And whether that translates to being culturally relevant, I don't really know. There's not really, I think there's a good reason for that, because, you know, your natural audience that may have aged with you is sort of not really focused on this anymore like they were when they were 16, right? They don't have the time. You know, people work and they have lives and whatever, and, you know, they might come see me if I come to town,
Yeah.
but they're not going to provide the energy that would make a hit record necessarily. For me to have any success doing this would be an absolute. I mean, it would be a fluke, right?
No, and I just totally disagree with you. And I can't even believe I'm telling you I disagree with you. But I do think it is just more strategic.
Oh,
And and you know, like you said to me, like you said, you're teaching a dinosaur or whatever, you know, that like
I
there are
don't care. I don't really, but I don't want to do that kind of work. You know?
you
I
know,
mean,
are you open to a team to do the work for you?
oh, like absolutely. I imagine like a team.
Oh yeah.
I imagine a team. Like I imagine that, like, you know, I'm in here. I finish the record, it comes off the presses. I hand it to the
Yeah.
team. They go out,
Yeah.
and I start all over again. That's what I imagine. You have to pay people to work, you know, and I believe that really what matters ultimately is if there's a reaction, an organic reaction to the record.
For sure.
That if you get it into enough ears and they hear it, if you can get those people to tell other people about it,
Yeah.
then you're golden. Then like that's the snowball
Yeah.
thing. But they have to like it enough to do that. They have to like it enough to say, "Holy, I'm gonna like autonomously, proactively send this to someone and tell them to listen to it." That's how hit records happen, you know, in one form or another. And no marketing strategy will ever replicate that. And any success that you get based solely on a marketing strategy that doesn't have that also going is temporary.
Yeah.
Every single time that I've seen this happen, and I have seen it happen to other people other than just us. I mean, when it happened to us, it's like you don't even have to call anybody. The phone rings. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to do that work. The record does
I
the
know.
work.
But I mean, but this is really what we were talking about before on how the industry has changed so much. And I don't know that I fully agree that it has to happen that way now. But you know what? I don't have all the answers either. And you know, I am managing a band here in Canada, and so I'm going through it. Like I'm in it now with them, trying to, you know, navigate the industry and figure everything out. And it
Oh,
is,
right. Oh, your band is good. I heard your band.
yeah,
So,
thank you. They're sick. I hope you get to see them one day. You know, that'd be a dream. You know what? We need to go sit on an energy vortex in
right.
Joshua Tree and have this
Yeah.
conversation.
Well,
But
that's the only way to really come out with a sound marketing strategy. I know that.
it's true. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't know all the answers, but I'm figuring it out, and I'm slowly sort of learning, little tips and little tricks, like I talked to you about with Spotify. Most artists don't really know how to utilize Spotify the way it's meant to for artists. So that's where I would start with you, is we come up with a release plan for that.
Right. Well, it's too late because I already released
Yeah,
it.
I know, but you're gonna release more.
Well, I mean, I know. It's like,
Beginning.
I mean, I hear you. I don't know. I just can't chase an algorithm. I just can't do it.
Most
It's,
artists can't, having the, I'm not,
I mean, I guess it's more that I won't. I
okay,
could if I wanted to, but I got other stuff to do, I mean,
for sure.
still can't plug up the VCR. So I'm not, I'm not good at the social media thing. I mean, I honestly, it took me forever to find this. And when I go on and I put videos or whatever stuff on Facebook or Instagram,
Yeah.
and I have no idea where it's going to end up. Like
Right.
it just goes to other places. I don't know why it's doing
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I just found out like a couple of days ago that there was a whole other bunch of message folders that
Yeah.
people send me messages in, and I never knew that. It's on my phone,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's small.
I had a
And so I look at it and it gets hard to see, and I just kind of stop looking.
It is not too much. I'm gonna, we're buddies now, so I'm gonna be on you about this.
Well, so,
But
I have a bunch of videos that I'm putting up of like, the band with Shannon
yeah,
that
I can't wait.
somebody that fell off of a truck in New Jersey.
Holy,
Back in the day, we call them bootlegs.
yeah,
But so I'm just going in there and chopping these things up, and I got all this stuff.
I love that.
And the sort of shelf life of the band with Shannon was short, and but there are some things out there that are going to come out that are kind of amazing.
Yeah,
If we'd been going today, we'd be recording every show.
yeah,
I just did this show with, or last year I played a song with this band Goose, and I was blown away by their production. They were recording and broadcasting the show live, and the recording sounded amazing. Their sound man was freaking brilliant.
wow,
I talked to him before the show, but he had sort of, built this environment. The song before I went up there, he he just like blew the roof off this place. Like, I mean,
wow,
and then it was like, and now here's this guy, and I walked up there. I was like, dude, like you just completely like you murdered me already. I mean, I was joking, but amazing player. Yeah.
wow. One of the biggest like regrets of my life is not being able to see you guys when I was younger, back like at the height of it all. I was just too young. My parents were pretty strict, and I remember begging them, because you came to Ottawa.
Uh,
Yeah, probably after Vancouver. I don't know if you remember, but I was not
well, we
allowed to.
did well in Canada.
Yeah, Canada loves you guys.
I mean, I think, other than the U.S., which I guess makes sense, but it was our biggest sort of
Yeah,
place.
yeah, for sure. Which is why you guys need to come. You need to
Yeah,
come
no, I
back.
mean, listen, I'll tell you what's happening with, Blind Melon is that we basically are aligned in a way that we haven't been since, I would say, probably 2008,
Mm,
and we're saying yes to everything. So right now,
really,
we booked stuff that's going to be announced that just hasn't been announced yet, but the plan is to pretty much go everywhere.
that's
I mean, basically everybody's saying yes to everything.
that's the best news I've ever heard. I can't.
available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, whatever, you know.
House
So good.
party.
House party.
House party.
See, I do love like
Oh,
that. That's the thing that I like to do, and I wish that I mean that we didn't do, you know, when we could have is go play another gig after the gig,
yeah.
you know, like late somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I every time I get off stage, I'm like, oh, now I could do a good gig. You know, it's like you go through it and like you're ready, and you know, let's do it again. You know?
Yeah, and you don't want that adrenaline to leave either. You want to keep it, right? Like
Yeah,
as long as possible.
well, it's yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think the band, you know, we get deep into the sort of the music, you know, part of it and making it different,
Mm-hmm.
winging it. That's what I like about it. I don't want to. I mean, we always do certain. We'll do the song, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but then some songs we just decide that it'll be different, and uh,
Just
and it kind
improvise.
of goes through a morphing thing where, oh, we'll start doing that to this one, and then that'll last for a couple of three shows, and then we'll move on to something else. This is a band that did not make the records that it could have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that we could do, but it's kind of, you know, it's volatile in a way, and just to get it to align. But we're getting there. Like we're moving in that direction. Once we start playing, and we just announced, you know, a run of shows in June. There's going to be more after that, but that's the, you know, that'll eventually lead to other things.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see what it leads to. I'm thrilled that you guys are playing this summer. I'm gonna try to come out. But yeah, no, this I appreciate you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I
Um,
thank you for supporting me. I do appreciate that too.
oh my God,
In return, thank you.
of course. Yeah, like let's, we'll continue to talk. Let me take over marketing for Towne and Stephen. Uh, bring,
Now
of
it's a bunch of prima donnas. You don't want to deal with that.
course I do.
I got
Bring,
demands.
bring
You
you
know.
guys to Canada. I already have a few spots in mind that I think you guys would love to play. But I'll just I'll hound you offline, and now you know how to do Instagram Live. So
Great. Yeah, this is a breakthrough for me personally. Thank you.
yeah, no, thank you. And anytime you want to do this and hop on here, and I'm always
All right.
here.
Thank you.